start to mandate that everyone in this country have insurance, and you lay on top of that now the mandates that we all would like to see in a perfect world, there are consequences to that. We just can't afford this. I mean, that's the ultimate problem here is in a perfect world, everyone would have everything they want. This government can't afford it. Businesses can't afford it. That's why we continue to say go step by step, try and address the cost, and we could ultimately get there. But we're asking that you set aside this mandated form of health care regulation, and let's go back to things we can agree on without this trillion-dollar attempt here. That's all.
I think the cost issue is legitimate, and whether we can afford it or not, we'll be discussing that. The argument that Republicans are making really isn't that this is a government takeover of health care, but rather that we're insuring or we're regulating the insurance market too much. And that's a legitimate philosophical disagreement. We'll hopefully be able to explore it a little more in the afternoon. We're running over because we went long on the opening statements, and you're right. There was an imbalance on the opening statements because I'm the president, and so I made. I didn't count my time in terms of dividing it evenly.
Mama said there'll be days like this.
Obama said there'd be days like this. Obama said there'd be days like this. This Obama said. If you think I'm going to talk about health care for 2 hours or 3 hours, you're out of your mind. Welcome to the savage nation. The British have it just right. The Times Online reports, try to stay awake. The president has a health care bill to pass. And they say that Obama, looking incongruously glamorous in a crisp white shirt and blue tie, like Jamie Foxx chairing a convention of Pittsburgh cement contractors, gave an Oscar-worthy performance as the concerned listener. Warning, they say, watching American pals argue about health care can be seriously damaging to your health. Symptoms may include migraines, extreme fatigue, and sudden violent urges. In the event of exposure to competing statistics regarding donut holes, HMO deductibles, reconciliation devices, or such like, seek immediate medical help. So there it is. And so, therefore, I didn't watch it today, except here and there. But I had people watching it, and here's a little story for you. There was no mention of cutting out health care for illegal aliens. There was only in passing a mention of cutting out the greedy, disgusting tort lawyers. It's been estimated that if tort lawyers, the vermin who, the ambulance chasers, in other words, your Uncle Mo from Brooklyn, the tort lawyer that the family hates, is the reason that the system is broken. In other words, we all know that the lawyers broke virtually everything in America. Now the tort lawyers are a special breed of evil. And if they were reined in, the estimates are there'd be savings of between $500 billion or more a year just on capping medical lawsuits, medical malpractice lawsuits. You say, well, it can't happen. It's unfair. A lie, a lie, a lie. The reason it hasn't been discussed is because both parties are packed with trial lawyers. Lindsey Graham, Republican, trial lawyer. I can name almost all of those men who are trial lawyers, which is why none of them raised the issue of capping the lawsuits. California, we've had medical liability lawsuits capped at $250,000, no matter what damage a doctor may do since the 70s. And believe me, the state is still functioning with regard to whatever. It's still functioning. If you don't like it, then move to Kansas where they can ply their trade. So there was no discussion of cutting off medical care for illegal aliens. That's probably $500 billion a year. And capping lawsuits, medical lawsuits, that's another. So there's $1 trillion a year right there. Neither party touched it. You understand? Okay, now I can go. I've done my job. 1-800-449-8255. No discussion of illegal immigration, the missing component of the healthcare summit. That's one of the biggest reasons that the system is broken. You know it, and I know it. So I can have nurses call doctors, but what's that going to do? It's not educational. It's not entertaining. It's just heartbreaking. You understand? I dreaded doing this show today. I would almost rather talk about disease than talk about this. We have an idiot for a president. Can any business person listening to this show run a meeting like this? Every time a substantive issue was raised by a Republican, some left-wing hack got up and started putting out left-wing drivel that had nothing to do with the question. Only an idiot blinded by bias could believe that the demoncats would like to help the average person. It's insane. But you know what Harry, Nancy, and Barry are going to do. Harry, Nancy, and Barry have already decided to ram through Obamacare. No matter how they do it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how they do it. It doesn't matter how low his ratings go because there's so much money at stake. Unbelievable. So there it is, an exercise in futility, complete with B.O.'s acting talents. B.O. never intended to do anything other than set up this socialist health care program through Congress. That's all. The British system in America is a nightmare. Patients are left in the halls for weeks. They're dirty. There are reports coming out of England right now that people don't get fresh drinking water in the hospital. Some of them are having to drink water out of, I'm not making it up, out of flower pots. But there it is. 1-800-449-8255. There he was, arrogant as ever, full of himself as ever, a jerk like forever. The whole thing was made to make him look good. It was all theater. It was called a teach-in, right out of the Frankfurt School of Communism, of Socialism. It was Obama's healthcare teach-in, a 60s college teach-in. I've been telling you all this week about Obama's Marxist roots. I told you how Obama was inspired by the same people who inspired the German leftist terrorists, the Baader-Meinhof gang. I told you about the Frankfurt School, who taught that instead of an outright violent revolution, socialists must infiltrate the government at all levels in order to bring it down from within. And today Obama took another page right out of the Marxist playbook. Why? Hosted a healthcare summit, which the pubs attended as well. All day it went on. But you see, back in the 60s, this sort of public extended forum on a complicated political issue was called something else. It was called a teach-in. And like Obama's healthcare summit, the teach-ins of the 60s were teach-ins that were really meant to be participatory and oriented towards direct action in the streets. And just like Obama's healthcare summit, the 60s teach-ins were controlled by leftists and had a predetermined outcome. The first major teach-in was organized by Students for a Democratic Society, SDS, a well-known radical, violent socialist group, and they said they opposed the Vietnam War. The largest such teach-in was held at UC Berkeley in 1965 and was attended by veteran socialist leader Norman Thomas, Benjamin Spock, the man who twisted a generation of children and parents, and Jack Barnes, the national chair of the Young Socialist Alliance. So, you know, nothing's really changed. It's the same plot, different actors. I'll be right back on the Savage Nation.
Savage.
We are talking about, well, the boring healthcare debate in Washington because we understand that it's all, you know, a sham. We know that we can't afford this. We know the government knows they can't afford it. We know the government is doing this to pay back the special interests such as La Raza and to massage the illegal aliens so they'll be perennial Democrat voters and we'll have a healthcare system equal to the third world nations that they have flooded in from, such as Mexico. And so if you want a healthcare system equal to Mexico, then go along with Obamacare. So the one thing is the illegal aliens have to be stopped from using the healthcare system. Can't afford it. Let's put aside all, you know, any other issue. We can't afford to pay for it. Then we have to have tort reform, which is we cap medical malpractice lawsuits. You say it can't be done. Look, it was done in California in the 70s, where medical malpractice claims, as far as I know, cannot exceed $250,000. Why is that a bad idea? I mean, we're trying to cut costs, aren't we? So what's the problem here? Ken in Florida, you disagree with me on tort reform. Tell us why.
Well, basically, mine doesn't involve medical malpractice, but I've had a run-in the